The waves crashed against the shore. Rain lashed down from the sky. It was a dangerous night to be at sea, especially for a young seal pup. The little seal, Sammy, was caught in the storm. He had been separated from his family. He was scared and alone. The wind howled in his ears. The waves tossed him around. Sammy fought to keep his head above water. He knew he had to find safety. Sammy paddled with all his might. He was just a baby. The storm was too strong. He felt himself being pulled further and further away from home. Exhausted, Sammy drifted along. The storm raged on through the night. He thought of his mother and siblings. He missed their warmth and their playful nudges. As the first light of dawn broke, the storm began to calm. Sammy opened his eyes. He saw a beach in the distance. With the last of his strength, he swam towards it. Thomas, an old fisherman, walked along the beach. He went for a walk every morning. He loved the smell of the sea air. The storm had washed up strange things on the shore. Shells, seaweed, and pieces of driftwood littered the sand. Suddenly Thomas stopped. He couldn't believe his eyes. There, lying helpless on the beach, was a small seal pup. Thomas rushed to its side. The pup was weak and shivering. He knew he had to help. Thomas gently lifted Sammy. The pup was light, just a baby. He carried him back to his small cottage. It was warm and cozy inside. Thomas filled a basin with warm water. He gently placed Sammy inside. The little seal shivered but soon relaxed in the warmth. Thomas wrapped him in a soft towel. Sammy looked up at Thomas with big brown eyes. He let out a small squeak. Thomas smiled. He would take care of this little one until he could find his family. Section 5, Fishy Friendship. Days turned into weeks. Sammy grew stronger under Thomas's care. Thomas fed him warm milk from a bottle. He told him stories of the sea. Thomas built Sammy a small pen in the garden. He filled it with fresh seaweed. Sammy loved to roll around in it. Thomas would laugh and scratch him behind the ears. Sammy was a playful pup. He followed Thomas everywhere. He waited for him by the door when he went out. He greeted him with happy barks when he returned. Section 6, Learning to Swim. One sunny afternoon, Thomas took Sammy down to the beach. It was time for him to learn to swim again. Thomas waded into the shallow water. Sammy hesitated. He had been so scared of the water after the storm. Thomas gently coaxed him. He splashed the water playfully. Sammy dipped a flipper in. Slowly, Sammy began to swim. He splashed and played in the water. Thomas watched with pride. The little seal was going to be all right. Section 7, A Familiar Bark. One evening, Thomas and Sammy were playing on the beach. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the water. Suddenly, Sammy stopped playing. He lifted his head and sniffed the air. A familiar bark echoed across the water. Sammy's body stiffened. He let out a loud, excited bark in response. Thomas had never heard him bark like that before. A group of seals appeared in the distance. They were swimming towards the shore. Sammy barked again, his whole body trembling with excitement. Section 8, Reunion at Dawn. As the sun rose, the seals swam closer to the shore. Sammy raced towards the water's edge. He barked excitedly. A large female seal, Sammy's mother, emerged from the water. She nuzzled Sammy with her nose. He responded with happy barks and playful nips. Tears welled up in Thomas's eyes. He was happy for Sammy. He would miss his little friend, but it was time for him to go home. Section 9, A Fisherman's Farewell. Sammy swam back and forth between Thomas and his family. He seemed unsure what to do. Thomas patted his head gently. "Go on, Sammy," Thomas whispered. "Go be with your family." Sammy nudged his hand one last time and then swam towards his mother. Thomas watched as Sammy disappeared into the distance with his family. He felt a pang of sadness, but also a deep sense of fulfillment. He had saved the little seal's life, and that filled his old heart with joy.